So with that as an introduction, because I thought it appropriate to announce that today, when our distinguished speaker is a person who has himself been so committed to the communities of which he is a part, I would have the honor of introducing that person, Mr. Bill Gates Sr. And he and I have joked about junior, senior, how you distinguish yourself from a junior who's junior to you, but you are the senior, and I understand about the fourth or fifth of the family with the same name. And he did not want to be pretentious and say, I'm Bill Gates the fifth or something like that. How do you introduce such a special person? Yes, he co-chairs the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and is, as you know, a tireless advocate for issues in education and improved health care. Yes, he is a world-class attorney, mostly with Preston Gates and Ellis, former president of the Washington Bar Association, as well as the Seattle King County Bar Association. Yes, he is a World War II veteran and a member of that great generation that was helped by the GI Bill, one of the greatest bills ever passed in the United States. Yes, and he's an inspiring and generous civic leader who's been a leader of his United Way Chamber of Commerce. Yes, and he's been elected to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. Yes, he was a founder of the Technology Alliance that has made such a difference in our state. Yes, he is a distinguished Eagle Scout, an award from the Boy Scouts of America, and we all know here that our symbol, our mascot, is the eagle, remember? Perhaps most importantly for us at Heritage, his life has been an embodiment of the kinds of values we would wish all of our graduates to have. High standards for himself and for everyone else with whom he's associated. A civic and community-centered approach to life, and a deep belief in the values of fairness and social justice, as he's shown in so many ways. And I think it's appropriate that he served as honorary co-chair for the World Justice Project, which is aimed at bringing the rule of law to communities of people all around the world. So, board members, distinguished guests, faculty, staff, students, alumni, representatives of the community, I give you Mr. Bill Gates Sr.
You know, that was really pretty disappointing, John. Well, now, wait a minute. What you didn't mention is I have a silver palm that goes on my Eagle badge. What fun to be here. I'm just delighted to come and see Heritage University and have an opportunity to talk about it. It deserves to be talked about. So thank you, President Bassett, for that very good introduction. It's great to be with all of you here today, and although this is my first visit to Heritage, I've been a fan of Sister Kathleen Ross for some time. The thing I most appreciate about Sister Kathleen is her unwavering devotion to the young people of the Yakima Valley. Her belief that everyone can achieve their potential no matter their personal circumstances. She has made a profound difference in the lives of so very many of us. If I had any pull, I'd recommend Sister Kathleen for sainthood. And President Bassett, don't worry. She was at it for 30 years, so you have a few more years to prove your bona fides.
I'll need a lot of those.
All right. I think both Sister Kathleen and President Bassett would be the first to agree with me that Heritage.
You need to speak up a little bit.
Well done. Can you hear me? Would be the first to agree with me that Heritage exists because of the labor of many. In particular, two groups come to mind. The first is an amazingly dedicated faculty. some of whom will be recognized individually today, and all of whom we honor through the accomplishments of their students. The second group includes others who, like me, are champions of what you're doing here. Last night I had the pleasure of meeting a few of the families and individuals who have been longtime and steadfast supporters of this university. And I know there are many more of you in the room today. Thank you. Thank you for supporting Heritage's unique vision and for the doors that you have opened for people in this community. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the students here today. I know a good many of you are pursuing an education despite challenging financial circumstances. Some of you have had to make difficult choices, spending less time with your children, working several jobs to make ends meet. And some of you have returned to school after many years in the workplace. That is all very inspiring. I wrote a book a few years ago called Showing Up for Life. It's part memoir and part things I've learned over the years. I borrowed the title from Woody Allen, who famously said, 80% of success is showing up. And if Woody is right, and I believe he was, then you're all successful because you are showing up in a very big way. At an age when most people are planning their retirement, Peggy Mosshart decided to pursue her dream of earning a college education and becoming a social worker. She is not waiting for her degree to start making a difference. She's already created a vocational arts program for developmentally disabled adults, and today is being honored for high academic achievement. Haver Jim, a Yakima native who dropped out of high school to become a logger. Along the way, he saw a different future for himself and his people. He earned his GED, enrolled at Heritage, and today joins the elite national cohort of Mellon Mays undergraduate fellows, placing him on a path for his PhD and a life of service as a teacher and leader. Javier Estrada will graduate from Heritage this spring with a degree in business administration. As president of your nationally ranked Students in Free Enterprise team, he leads their efforts to reshape the Valley by expanding financial literacy, building entrepreneurialism, creating opportunities for others to succeed. His recognition today as a McNair Fellow is totally fitting. Hearing about Peggy Haver and Javier's successes has special meaning for me because my dad never attended college. As an 8-year-old, he sold newspapers in the freezing cold streets of Nome, Alaska to help his family get by, while his dad went panning for gold. As an 8th grader, he gave up school entirely to help support his family. My earliest memory of my dad is seeing him walking home from work, picking up pieces of coal that had fallen off the trucks that delivered coal to homes in our neighborhood. I was probably about 4 years old then, and that would have made it 1929, the year the stock market crashed. My dad did a pretty good job navigating the Great Depression for his family. We always had a roof over our heads and food on the table. But he never wasted a penny and never took anything for granted. But it was taken for granted that I would go to college. Needless to say, I am grateful. Similarly, it was taken for granted that my children would go to college. My children had a lot of advantages, and they made the most of them. That's one of the great things about this country. It's possible for an 8th grade dropout to have a grandson who starts the largest software company in the world. and then decides to invest most of his good fortune to help others. Here's an amusing story about that good fortune. My youngest child, Libby, was buying a pair of skis for one of her children. She handed her credit card to the clerk. The name on the card said, Elizabeth Gates Armentrout. The clerk looked at her card and asked if she was related to him. Libby was in a hurry, so she dismissed the question, saying, "No, I am not related." Then the clerk said, "Well, you know, I didn't think you were. You would have bought better skis." I obviously jest in telling this story. It highlights the humor of being related to someone like my son. But on the serious side, the only way to get to a story like this, where an individual can have such great opportunities, is through education. When young people have access to a great education, new possibilities they'd never dreamed of open up. By being here at Heritage, you're opening new possibilities in your lives for your families and for your communities. Again, I know that for a good many of you, this has not come without a struggle, and I am really impressed by your dedication. Before I started working for my son's foundation, I was a lawyer in Seattle. People often ask what it's like now to co-chair a large foundation compared to being a partner in a big Seattle law firm. Well, it's like this. When I practiced law, people would seek me out to get advice. Now, people mostly want to give me advice. They want to give me advice on how to spend my son and daughter-in-law's money. One of my favorites along that line was from a fellow who wanted us to fund a ballroom dancing television channel. Of course. In all seriousness, I couldn't have asked for a better second career than working with my son and his wife, who created the foundation's mission statement, which says, "Every person deserves the chance to live a healthy, productive life." Globally, we invest in innovative solutions to the health problems that have a big impact on the poor, but are not getting the attention they deserve. For example, pneumonia. Pneumonia kills more than 1 million children every year, primarily in the developing world. And we're working with many, many partners to bring that number down, way down. In the United States, our main focus is improving education. We believe it is the most effective way to ensure that young people have an opportunity to reach their full potential. The evidence is clear. A college degree is more important than ever. Nearly 2/3 of all American jobs now require some sort of college education. Adults with a bachelor's degree earn, on average, 80% more than adults with only a high school degree. And the unemployment rate among college graduates is less than half that of students who have only a high school degree. I could go on, but all the statistics say the same thing. You have certainly made the right choice by pursuing a degree here at Heritage. Unfortunately, our nation's education system is failing all too many of its students, not just here in Yakima, but all across the country. High schools are not preparing students for college, and colleges are not accommodating students who have demands that make it difficult to fit within a particular college schedule. Part of the problem is that many colleges have not adjusted to the fact that most students today are not the stereotypical image of a middle or upper class student whose parents pay for them to go off and study somewhere for 4 years. Many students did not get the education they deserved in high school. They have responsibilities, they have jobs, they have families, and they take longer to finish. Fortunately, Heritage understands the critical need of higher education in America, and it's helping students beat the odds. That is what many of you are doing. Even more importantly, colleges like Heritage are changing the odds. They are showing the way toward a new model of college education that gives today's students what they need to thrive. An important part of reform in education is to encourage other colleges to change the way they do business so more students can succeed. Things like predictable schedules so students can more easily balance all their responsibilities. Another positive change is providing focused courses of study which are lined up with job opportunities. We're also looking at ways to ensure that more families are well informed about options to pay for college. Just to give you one example, more than 1.5 million students each year are eligible for Pell Grants, but don't complete the necessary financial aid forms. If we did nothing else but fix that problem, we would boost graduation rates around the country by 5%. Finally, thoughtful organizations are looking at innovative ways to combine the best parts of classroom learning with the best parts of online learning. These blended approaches allow students to learn at their own pace while providing real-time feedback that shows where they might still be having difficulty. The great things about Heritage University is that it is already doing many of those things that other universities are only beginning to realize are necessary to help students succeed. This is a special place. Heritage is changing lives in ways that matter. And it is significantly ahead of the curve in providing high-quality, career-oriented programs that meet the needs of students. Still, in the end, each of you students is in charge of deciding whether you graduate. If I'm allowed to offer 2 pieces of advice, it would be these. First and foremost, just do whatever it takes and persevere to get that diploma. Second, when you do graduate, just don't forget the unique experience you had at Heritage and the important contribution this school and its faculty have made in your lives. The fact is that the quality and impact of a university is directly related to the degree of involvement and commitment of its alumni. When our kids were growing up, we talked a lot about the importance of giving back. Never did any of us imagine the success Bill would have with Microsoft. But I'm sure glad we had those talks with him because something apparently stuck. Giving back doesn't have to be on the scale of a foundation. Giving back means doing what you can, whenever you can, whether it's a financial contribution, mentoring a Heritage student, or simply encouraging someone to take the steps you did and apply to Heritage. In closing, I would add just this. What you students learn here, the knowledge you gain and the critical thinking skills that you develop will set you on a path as a lifelong learner. That is the most important attribute you can possess. no matter what career you pursue. That is the most important attribute you can possess. So, showing up for life, that's a decision you'll just never regret. Thank you.